We're at the grandstand with multiple TT winner Charlie Williams. Charlie, classic TT really was your era. It must be great to be back and soaking up the atmosphere.
Yeah, it is nice to be back here, and it is such a splendid event. And it's growing from strength to strength. I think this is the 4th year now, I think, is this, since they've run the Classic TT, and it just gets bigger and better.
What is it for you that makes the event so special and really makes you come back and enjoy it?
Well, it's the people, it's the bikes, of course, and probably more important than the people are the bikes, you know. And Derby, of course, is a fantastic event, and we were up there having a look around. And yesterday, and the bikes up there are just tremendous, and the people, I mean, I bumped into a guy who to me will go down in Spanish folklore. His name is Benjamin Grau, and he was winner of the Barcelona 24-hour race 3 times. His last win being 1975 on a Ducati. The 2 previous wins were on Bultacos, and I saw this name Benjamin Grau on the side of the fairing, and I said to someone, I said, surely that can't be him. And indeed it was. And I've got a picture on my phone. The little 72-year-old man now, and it was tremendous. The reason I was so interested in that was I myself, the year after he had won, I actually won the 24-hour race at Barcelona on the very same circuit. So it's things like that. You know, it's iconic, really. You know, you just bump into these people, and it's amazing.
You've obviously spent a little bit of time on the Isle of Man over the Classic TT period so far. Talk to me about some of the sights you've seen and some of the things that you really enjoyed, maybe some of the bikes that have really caught your attention.
Well, yeah, I've always, well, especially it's an age thing really, but I've had an interest in classic bikes. I'm a lot more interested in classic bikes than I am on modern stuff. Modern bikes don't do anything for me at all. No, I anything in particular? Well, funnily enough, there was a bike up at Derby, and it was a rusty old thing, really rusty, but I mean every part of it was red rusty, and it turned out to be a 1923 Excelsior, and it ran, and I couldn't believe it, it ran, you know. And in fact I was so impressed with this bike, I actually asked the guy, was he interested in selling it, but he wasn't, unfortunately, because I have a few classic bikes myself, you know, a few old BSAs mainly, a couple of BMWs and stuff, you know. So nothing specific. That was probably the most interesting bike, and it was. If you'd have seen it, you'd have said I wouldn't give you £6 for it, you know. But it was to me, it was an interesting bike.
Now, you spend a lot of time in hospitality hosting the events in here. You must have met some really incredible people over the last few days. Some of the people I've been talking to have come from far and wide for this event. They do, yeah.
As far as the actual riders go, I'm very fortunate that my TT career and Max Grand Prix career goes way back to 1970. So I've been around a long time. And so I know the guys from that era and before. Not a long time before, but immediately before. And of course I know riders from the current era because I talk to them a lot, you know. So it covers a whole broad span of people, and not just riders, people in the trade, people, and as I said before, people you might not have even seen. I didn't even know Benjamin Grau, for instance. I knew of him, I didn't know him. So you bump into people that have got in motorcycling or TT folklore, you know, which is incredible. And the spectators and the people that come across to watch the race and just be involved with it, you know, some of those are very interesting people once you get to speak to them. 2 Australians yesterday, I come here every year, me and my wife come here every day, it's the highlight of our year, you know, and it costs a lot of money to get from Australia to the TT. So people like that, they're so enthusiastic.
Do you have a favourite memory from your time racing on the island?
You know, I was asked that just a little bit earlier today by someone. I had a favourite race, in fact, and crikey, there were so many good times and quite a few bad times as well. I think probably I was fortunate enough to be around when Mike Hailwood made his comeback in 77, 78, and 78, 79, and Mike's very last race was the classic race on the Friday of 1979, and I'd actually won the 250 race earlier in the week. Mike had won the 500 race even earlier in the week, and Alex George had won the Formula 1 race, and I'd been second in that race. I think Mike was about 4th, and we all went head to head on the Friday, and Alex beat Mike by 3.4 seconds. It was an incredibly close race, but I finished 3rd in that race, and it was albeit on a smaller bike, but nevertheless I finished 3rd and quite quickly, and that was probably pretty special, especially Mike was very complimentary. He said, wow, you lapped at almost 113 on a 350, you know, and to come from someone like Mike Hailwood, that was pretty special.
Now, talking to you earlier this week and looking at some pictures on your phone, you're still doing some racing and keeping up with the likes of Dunlop, McGuinness and so on.
I hosted a dinner, a Legends dinner in this very establishment a couple of nights ago, and my last guests on the stage were Michael Dunlop and John McGuinness. And I wasn't going to mention Goodwood to them, but John brought it up, and he said he was talking to the audience, about 400 people in there. He said, this old bugger, pointing at me, he said, came past me last year at Goodwood. He said, and I couldn't even stay with him. This 70-year-old, he said, which I was quite indignant about because I'm only 67. Thank you. I said that to him. Don't call me bloody 70, McGuinness. I'm only 67. And indeed, yes, in conditions like we see here now, and today, unfortunately, it's raining quite hard. And it was at Goodwood, which was good for us and myself and my pal, and we actually, I did indeed beat the two of them, so and won the race, so which was pretty good. Yeah.
What have you got coming up? I know you've got some more track time booked in.
Just Goodwood. I'm going home shortly, tomorrow in fact, and I've got a track day at Alton Park where we've got to run the bike in readiness for Goodwood, and Manx Norton, and then we're off down to Goodwood a week on Wednesday in readiness for the revival, and that'll be it. I don't do much now. I've only done one race meeting this year, but I'm still involved a little bit. Yeah.
Now, turning our attention to TT and to next year and beyond, what do you think lies in store for the TT change-wise? Can you see any major changes?
I think there'll be quite a few changes, and I'm quite excited when I speak to Paul Phillips. Paul's got a lot of ideas. I've been speaking to Peter Duke. He's got a lot of ideas about the TT and things they might do to improve it and to improve the whole experience for the spectators. And so I think things will happen, and I'm sure things will happen. And I've been told things this last week that probably I can't talk about at this moment in time. You know, some of the ideas they have for it. You know, at this moment in time, it looks to have a very rosy future, both the TT and the classic TT. So let's hope it continues.
And looking at some of the racers who made their debuts maybe about 5-6 years ago, or even sooner than that, there are some real standout performers now who are really making their way up the leaderboard. I think it's a very exciting time for seeing some new faces on that top step.
It is, and as far as the TT is concerned, Peter Hickman has got to be at the forefront, because Peter Hickman had some incredible rides at the TT. They have 5 podiums, I think, at the TT this year, and he's not done the classic TT, but he's also a very, very good contender in British Superbike, doing very well in that. So Peter Hickman's got to be one of the best guys for the future, I think. But also Josh Brooks, of course, had his first win here at the classic TT on the pattern, and Josh has not been to the Isle of Man that many times, I think 3 or 4 times as a rider. He went well at the normal TT on the other Norton, on the Norton but this year he's riding a rotary Norton in the classic, and when we get that race underway, it'll be interesting to see how he goes in that. But also, of course, he rode the pattern to victory in the 500 race, which is amazing. So he's another guy that's going to be good. Now, again, you know, it's not all about the event, it's not all about the spectators, it's not all about the riders, it's a combination of things, but we always need new blood coming through, and in those aforementioned riders, I think we've got it, and more as well besides. You know, there's plenty of young riders out there doing really well.